Well, today I'm here to welcome some of the technology team to the ColdCast. So this is Bob Kunzig, and why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Bob?
Bob Kunzig, I'm a software development manager here at US Cold. Kind of the area where I spend most of my time working is in automation, warehouse automation, and EDI. And I've been here about a little over 4 years.
Okay. And you've always been working out of Camden?
Yes.
Perfect. So what motivates you to build software for physical infrastructure?
I would say my background is in engineering rather than in the traditional route of computer science. And so I've always had an interest in building things that touch the real world, applying science and engineering principles to building things that make life better, optimized, streamlined for the real world.
How did you get into the software development engineering side of it?
Over the years, I did a lot of things that kind of crossed the line between hardware and software in operating like chemical plants, chemical process control. And I found that I was enjoying doing the software pieces more than other things. And so I had started leaning in that direction, and then there was an opportunity that came up about 10 or 11 years into my career to kind of jump over without losing a lot of ground, and so I did.
It's interesting because you talk a little bit about, when we think about engineering, we think about refrigeration engineering, right? And you're talking more about engineering development.
Electrical engineer. So I was an electrical engineer and became a process control engineer where I did instrumentation systems, safety interlocking, things like that at a large chemical manufacturer. And so that was kind of my background.
Well, and it sounds like there's this element of development and deployment of systems that's more tangible than other things. So can you describe a time when a deployment you led directly affected something physical, like a warehouse process, a shipment, a product on a shelf?
There have been so many, and I started at US Cold initially as an individual contributor. So I was an engineer and writing software, and so I was also very early in my career on the Camden deployment team for deploying software to production. And so I got to go very early on into production deployments where I knew that I had things that I built that were in that deployment. And so I really enjoy building things that end up in front of people, that make people's lives easier, that streamline, fix something in some way. And so being able to go through that deployment process, knowing that I have things in there that are going out in front of hundreds or thousands of people, and then having it work and be able to demonstrate positive impact is very satisfying to me.
And I'm sure that a lot of that software technology that we developed is still around today. How is building software for a temperature-controlled logistics company different from what most other teams experience?
I would say from a 30,000 foot level, it's not, right? I mean, essentially we're using the same engineering principles, paradigms, patterns, the same tools, the same things to build software that's resilient, reliable, performant, maintainable. We're doing the same things to produce the same thing to help the company for which we work to operate better. Having said that, if you drill into the details, some of the complexity of our system is introduced when you have to work in the real world where I've got this problem. I'm not just clearing a queue and sending a message again. There's a person that has to be dispatched because that problem is a 2,000-pound pallet of food product that's sitting on a conveyor, jammed somewhere, a physical process, or I have a reject pallet out on a reject conveyor. Somebody's got to go fix it. And so incorporating a very different and very rubber meets the road way of handling error cases, failure cases, is different for us, so it's a little bit more involved.
What makes it special?
Every industry has its own things that make it special. If you're writing video games, there's a particular set of skills and things that you do there that are different than ours. I mean, ours is about engineers having a sense of the mission rather than metrics. When I talk about software, we have a lot of processes we wrap around the things that we do, and we have metrics to measure how we're doing. There's always this concern that people might follow. They might follow the metrics instead of the mission. But people that, when we understand the mission, it's about keeping, essentially at the end of the pipeline, consumers safe in how we do things. We're handling food that someone is going to put in their body. It's like the pharmaceuticals industry. How we can't ship a product that's been on hold because it is distressed or it's expired or There's a quality hold. We have to be careful that this thing gets put in the right temperature-controlled environment. There are a lot of things that people kind of incorporated into their model of the software and what we do that kind of leads to the satisfaction that, yes, when you go to the supermarket and you see this stuff sitting on the shelf, that we're handling this stuff correctly, that's probably a thing that my system that I built handled. And I'm taking that home to my family tonight and putting it on the table.
When I talk to people about what we do, I say if you open your refrigerator or freezer, probably most of those products have been in one of our warehouses. Yep. So our mission is to feed America, in essence.
Thank you for listening to the ColdCast. Like and follow to hear part 2.